Yoshi's Crafted World continues a long tradition of Yoshi game soundtracks by building the variety of different level themes out of rearrangements of the game's main theme. I love this composition technique for level-based games like this. The main character is being plunked down into and forced to navigate a variety of different environments, and plunking the main theme into a variety of different arrangements is a perfect musical representation of the game's structure. These types of rearrangements are also perfect for musical analysis. Having an original main theme to compare each level theme to makes it super easy to isolate and define exactly what makes each rearrangement unique, and having a specific kind of level that each arrangement was written for gives us a clear idea of what kind of goals the composer had with each piece. That's why today I want to take a look at some of the standout tunes from Yoshi's Crafted World and see what makes them work. But first we have to take a look at the main theme itself to see what we are working with. The melody is very simple, based almost entirely around an F major triad, but the heavy use of this dotted quarter to eighth note rhythmic motif makes it extremely memorable. This is a perfect melody to put into different contexts. The simplicity makes it easily adaptable to a bunch of different harmonic situations, and the memorable rhythmic motif will make it recognizable even if other elements of the melody are changed. The harmony is also pretty simple, using mostly typical 4-5-1 types of moves, but there are a few nice details that add some color. This major 4 to minor 4 to 1 move emphasized by the chromatic descent in the melody, the chromatic bass motion moving into the final phrase, and the addition of dominant sevenths on an otherwise chord for chord repetition of a phrase, keeping things interesting. The orchestration sets the tone for the game wonderfully as well, with the tin whistle melody, bouncy piano bassline, and xylophone counterline all contributing to this very light and cute feeling, while the swung eighth syncopation between the bassline and chords give the tune an easygoing, walking pace kind of vibe. The music for the underwater and outer space levels clearly intends to capture the feeling of calmly floating through either of these environments, and the game's composer, Kazufumi Umeda, achieves this by subverting any sort of traditional harmonic movement or resolution. The melody starts off the same as our original theme over a tonic major 7 chord, which is more colorful already than the original theme's simpler voicings, and this chord is held for the full 2-bar phrase rather than changing every 2 beats. This already puts us in a sort of stasis that's fitting for the environment at hand. The melody is then broken up by 2 bars of rest, under which our first major 7 voicing is shifted down a whole step to a D major 7 chord, the flat 7th of the key. Shifting a voicing around to out-of-key chords like this is called chromatic planing. After the second melodic phrase, which is again taken exactly from the original theme and again harmonized by this E major 7 to D major 7, we see this chromatic planing idea elaborated on more fully. The first melodic phrase is taken, contour and interval structure intact, but altered to start on the 5th of a major 7 chord rather than the 3rd. This is harmonized by our D major 7 voicing descending chromatically to a C sharp major 7, which is then chromatically planed around the circle of fourths until we land back on our D major 7 chord. The melody keeps its new altered intervallic structure, but descends by whole step to outline the cycling harmony, slowly winding down to a simple 2-bar long held note an octave below where we started. This gradual slowing down is punctuated by a chromatic shift up to our first non-major 7 chord, a D sharp minor 7 to G sharp move. This last D sharp minor 7 to G sharp is our first instance of functional harmony, a 2-5 progression setting up a resolution to C sharp. This is subverted though, as the G sharp leads us back to the E major 7 chord where we started. Notice the complete lack of conventional resolutions here. Even this G sharp chord, which would be a dominant coming off of the D sharp minor 7 before it, is voiced as a simple triad. Adding the dominant 7th would give more of a sense of motion, more of a pull towards a targeted resolution, and we see Umeda intentionally avoid this by leaving out the 7th, making this the only chord in the piece to be voiced as a simple triad. This captures the sense that we're not really moving towards a destination, just floating wherever the waves take us. Skelosaurus Rex is a level that features a giant zombie dinosaur skeleton that chases you through the desert, which sets some pretty obvious musical goals for a tune that needs to sound urgent and exotic. The exoticism is covered partly by altering the parent scale of the melody from major to harmonic major, that is, a major scale with a flattened 6th. This scale is one of the musical shorthands for an exotic desert environment that you'll see all over film, TV, and game scores. The arrangement adds to this effect by scoring an acoustic guitar playing a kind of generic flamenco-y progression of 1, flat 2, and flat 3 chords. The urgency is evoked by the melody's new syncopated 16th note rhythm and the driving xylophone part that simultaneously spices up the harmony with colorful extensions, pedaled notes, and quartal voicings. I love how the orchestration just perfectly sums up the level here too. If the whistled melody symbolizes Yoshi on top, then the giant Skelosaurus is symbolized by this agitated xylophone part in the middle, and the whole thing being underscored by the guitar evoking the exotic desert scenery. Check, check, and check. Moving on to one of my favorite tunes from the soundtrack, Whistletop Rails, we see a great example of how one can change the form of a melody. Where the original theme is 8 bars long and structures its 2-bar phrases into an A-B-A-C form, Whistletop Rails turns the melody into a 20-bar long form with a larger A-B-A-C structure now built out of 4-bar chunks of melody, even as the phrases remain 2 bars long each. Here, it might be easier just to show you. The first 4 bars of melody are identical to the original theme, only now the rhythm of the accompaniment has changed completely. Instead of the main theme's bouncy, syncopated bass and chords, we now get a straight oompa rhythm at a faster tempo given to us by an acoustic guitar bass line and banjo. Where the original theme gave me a laid-back, strolling kind of feeling, this arrangement feels more active, like a jolly whistle-while-you-work kind of vibe. As we move on to the next phrase, you'll see the contour of the first phrase is shifted up to outline our 2-chord B minor, before a new phrase comes in to outline a 5-to-1 resolution. The interval structure and contour are changed for this phrase, but the rhythm is identical. This gives the sense that our melody is progressing naturally forward while still sounding cohesive. The following phrase sounds like we're repeating back to the top of the form, but this is quickly subverted as our melody shifts upward to resolve to the 4-chord D. Again, we're maintaining the same melodic rhythm, but altering the intervals and contour of the melody to create a piece that goes to a completely different place than we saw in our original theme. This melody descends through a 3-6-2-5 tag that extends the melody into a 20-bar form before taking the original theme's final melodic phrase and using it to end on our tonic. After stretching out a little, we start to see how different from the original theme this arrangement really is. The much slower harmonic rhythm countered with the much quicker tempo and stretched out form creates something totally new. Even still, the last melodic phrase brings us right back to the original melody to bring the section to a close. It's worth noting that all of these arrangements feature unique B sections that expand on the ideas unique to each arrangement, and I'd highly recommend checking out the full soundtrack to the game for yourself. To be honest, I'm a sucker for this kind of cutesy Nintendo music, but I really enjoyed it. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoy the channel and want to help support me doing what I do, feel free to check out my Patreon here or buy an official 8-Bit Music Theory t-shirt. If you want to get updates from me every 3 to 6 weeks, you can follow me on Twitter at 8-Bit Music Theory. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.